Hello guys, I'm Honest, he's Simple. Together we are Honest and Simple. And today we have decided to bring you a video on how to make your very own Captain America shield. If you want to say something, feel free. Okay, good. Let's go. So step one is we're going to have to fill in these holes that the satellite dish naturally comes with, so that when we put our resin in later, it doesn't seep through and give it a weird shape. So we're just going to use some cardboard scraps here to just fill in the holes so we can filler it in a later time. So I'm simply using no more nails. You can use any other adhesive just to sort of stick your cardboard down into the underside of your satellite dish or whichever mould you're using. And then for a bit of extra security, I'm going to tape it down so that the no more nails can dry. So once you've done that, we're just going to fill in any other holes, depending on how many holes your satellite dish has. So once we've done that, we're just going to leave the no more nails to dry off, and as soon as it has dried, we are going to fill in these holes with some filler, so that when we do put the resin on and the fiberglass later, it gives a nice round finish. So the way you do is just dump a bit of filler into the holes and then use the filler knife to sort of scrape off any excess, giving it a nice round finish like that. Shake off any sort of excess filler because it will dry sort of to a crumbly texture. So next, what you're going to want to do is you want to create a compass so that you can draw a perfect circle. All you're going to want for this is just 2 scraps of wood, a couple of washers and a bolt, so that you can create the compass and ensure you've got enough room for a pen to slide in. Now measure the compass out to the size of your satellite dish so you can get the perfect diameter needed, and just place it on your CSM, ensuring you get enough space covered as possible, save as much room as you can. And just draw a circle, make sure there's no bumps in it or anything, and just draw around and then cut it out once you're done. Now get a sharp pair of scissors and start cutting around the edge of your CSM. Make sure you leave a bit of space though, so that when you're cutting out, if you do make any mistakes, it can be fixed later on. So just bear that in mind when cutting it out. Okay, so once you've cut out all your chops around mat, we are now going to start layering stuff onto our satellite dish mould. So the first thing to do is to sand off any excess filler that you've put on in sort of previous stages, as we want a nice finish on our shield, so we want a nice smooth satellite dish to work on, and all this filler will sort of make bumps and dips in our outer surface, which we don't want. So as soon as you have finished sanding off any excess filler, we're now going to start putting release agent on, and this is the time where you want to start putting gloves on, as this stuff is very sticky, and getting it on your hands or your arms is like having sort of wax hair removal. It's not very nice, a bit painful, so we're going to try and avoid that. So we're just going to pour out our release agent into a container. This could be an actual paint pot or just sort of the bottom of a bottle like we're using. You won't need a lot, probably about 100 millilitres max for a shield of 80 centimetres in diameter. And once you've poured it out, we're just going to get a normal paintbrush and we're going to start layering it on to our satellite dish, and it's just basically like painting a surface. And for the first layer, all we want to do is do a nice thin layer covering the entirety of our satellite dish, not a thick layer, as that will take forever to dry, so we're going to do a little thin layer. To finish it, we want to try and get a nice circular brush pattern as when it does dry and we put our resin on, we don't want sort of horizontal and vertical brush strokes because that'll look rubbish. So if you just give it a nice circular finish, that'll give our overall aesthetics a big boost at the end. So once the first layer is dried, we're just very simply going to do the same thing again, whack on another layer. If it is feeling a bit dry around the sort of filler areas, give it a bit more, as filler can absorb some of the PVA release agent. But once we've done that, the second layer has been done, we're ready to start layering on our fiberglass.
So first step for this is you're going to want to get a face mask to cover your mouth so you don't breathe in any of the fumes given off by the resin, because it's quite harmful to your lungs and body. So once you've done that, you're going to want to have a look at the side of the bottle and see the ratio of the resin to catalyst that you need to ensure the reaction happens fast. After this, make sure you've mixed it properly and then start layering it onto the satellite dish so you get a smooth, even layer across the front. So next, what we're going to want to do is place our first layer of CSM over our covered satellite dish. Smooth it down so that we get no air bubbles, as these will decrease the quality of our shield. Once everything is smooth, then proceed to doing the next layer of resin and then pile on the next step of CSM and repeat until you're back to your third layer. To smooth it out, we're going to use a filler knife and a paintbrush to ensure that every single air bubble is removed.
There's a distance between us. It's getting hard to reach out. Haven't seen you in seasons.
Okay, so what we're going to do now, whilst we wait for our resin to dry, is cut out our star that's going to go in the centre of our shield. We've got this cardboard template that we sort of cut out from an old cereal box from a template online, and all we're going to do is we're going to put it onto our metal, for which we have chosen 0.9mm steel, and just trace around the edge with a permanent marker so we have a guide to cut. Now the actual cutting of the metal is down to you. There are many ways you can do this, with a jigsaw, with a hacksaw, or what we're going to do is we're going to use a Stanley knife and sort of bend the star out, as this sort of gives a nicer edge, and it's also a new way that we thought we'd show you guys. So what you're going to do is get your meter rule, place it on top of your metal, and quite literally score down the line, pushing quite firmly on the Stanley knife so it goes into the metal. You may want to repeat this a few times on each line to get a nice deep groove in the metal. Once you've done one line, move on to the next and work your way all the way around the star till you've done every single line. So once you've done that, we're going to start bending. Now to get the initial sort of edge on the star, you may have to sort of use a chisel or possibly use a hacksaw just to get it out. But as soon as you've got the first score, start bending the steel out, and eventually with enough force pieces will start falling off like so. If you do have a little curve in your metal like we do, a little hammer and a few whacks will sort that all out for you. So this is quite a time consuming process. It's probably not the most efficient way of cutting out the metal. We thought we'd do it anyway. Just keep bending, stamping, bending, cutting, and you will eventually get a nice star with a nice sort of finish around the edge. And it doesn't matter if you sort of hit it on one side, as long as you keep one side smooth for outer sort of show purposes. Alright, so once the underside of your shield has fully dried, we are now going to put some bolts in that we can attach our handle and our strap to at the end. It's quite good to put them in now, because then you get a good few layers of fiberglass holding it down to give a nice firm sort of attachment to the shield, and it's unlikely to sort of come off if you use a bad glue. So You just want to get some bolts, and you just want to start measuring out where your arm would be in the shield, and you want to place 4 bolts, 2 above your arm, 2 below your arm, where you feel comfortable that handle would be. Obviously once you've chucked your batarang into a tree.
Hello, it's me. I was wondering if
So place your arm onto the shield as if you were holding it, and put 2 dots above your arm and 2 dots below your arm, about an inch away from your actual arm, so that you can get a nice strap and handle on once the entire shield has dried.
I've forgotten how it felt before the world connected our feet. There's such a difference.
We've done that. We're just going to get some no more nails, and we are going to place a sort of pea-sized drop of no more nails onto each dot, and then firmly push down a bolt onto the no more nails. Just repeat this with all 4 bolts. And once you've done that, for extra security, you can just put a little bit of no more nails around the edge of a bolt, and then leave that to dry.
Next, what we're going to want to do is put our second to last layer on and push all the way through the bolts. Once we've done this, we can then continue to place our resin and CSM back over the shield to complete our final 2 layers. Just repeat the same method as last time, but instead of covering the bolts, what we're going to want to do is use a paintbrush around them, just to consolidate it and get rid of the air holes around the bolts. Now, once the shield is fully dry, we're just going to want to slowly ease it off the satellite dish. Don't force it off, because this might damage the satellite dish and bend it so you can't use it again later. Just gently pry it off, and then as shown here, you've got your perfect, flat, smooth shield.
Okay, so now that we have taken our shield out of its mould, we're just going to trim it down, and if you can't see your circle through the layers of fiberglass, just use the compass we've made just to draw another one out. And so we're just going to use our jigsaw with a metal blade in. This will speed up the process a bit, just to cut around the outside of our shield to get a nice smooth edge and a nice shield shape. Make sure that you do put your mask on this time, because these little fiberglass particles can get into your lungs. As soon as you've done that, you will have a nice shield to start painting on in the future. Alright then, that's the end of that video today on how to make the sort of base shield for your Captain America shield. I hope you've enjoyed it, I hope you've learned something.
Stay tuned to our next video, where we're going to give you tips on how to paint the shield and apply the star, and finally put the handles on. Thanks for watching.